Hello everyone. This is Dare to Speak. I just did a very important video, and for some strange fucked up reason it came out sideways. Oh my god. So see, forgive me for it. I don't know what happened. But if you can, Tracy, if you could try to if you can with your computers or whatever, trying to make it switch to the right side, if you can. Otherwise, because I don't want everybody to see it sideways. Hopefully you like it. Forgive me for how it came out. So hopefully you enjoy this video, and if you do, please give it a thumbs up. Again, I apologize. I just hope that I'm upset about it, but just forgive me for it. Hello everyone. This is Dare to Speak. I'm announcing right now, I talked about someone that passed away, who was a Latin king, one of the old school Latin kings. His name is Bule, B-U-L-E, Maldonado. And it was recent. And I knew him when I was growing up in the old neighborhood, because I'm from the 80s era mostly. And because I was 17 in 1989, there was another person which I forgot to mention because of during the past couple of weeks I was talking about the coronavirus and other issues having to deal with religion and whatnot, so I got caught up in that. I wanted to mention, even though I never knew this guy, and this guy pretty much had a bad reputation, and his brothers pretty much had a bad reputation too, and they started a chapter here in Milwaukee in the mid-70s, and this particular gang was, of course, known as the Spanish Cobras. And for those of you who saw the one actual video that I did, where I showed something like this, old school Spanish Cobras gang history, where I talked about the Medina brothers, and they were the actual people responsible, who came from Chicago and started the Milwaukee chapter of the Spanish Cobras. Now, on this video is to show respect for, even though, again, I don't know this guy, and even though he had a bad reputation, and his brothers too, they were very charismatic. Aside from being very feared during their time, they were also very charismatic. They knew how to control their group or whatever. And one such man who died on April 14th, 1979, was none other than Richard Medina, aka King Cobra, who was shot and killed on April 14th, 1979. That's the day that he died. I don't know if he died earlier or a day later, I'm not really sure, but on his gravestone it said April 14th, 1979. He was shot and killed by the insane's unknown. I'm sorry, the insane unknowns. And the insane unknowns were actually affiliated with the Latin Kings. They found him too threatening for whatever the reason, and they actually had a hit on him. And they accomplished what they did. And then there was a quick retaliation right after that. And it started a very bloody war between them and also the Latin Kings. It's very messed up that a lot of people have to die over senseless violence, whether it's over graffiti on the wall, over territory, or just because they're from a different gang and they had to be enemies. Before, especially in the 60s and 70s, anybody from a different gang would walk into another gang's turf. They would wear sweaters or wear their colors. They would have to take off their colors and put it over their arm as they go through as a form of respect. You're respecting that gang's turf. And after that, they pretty much know that you're cool with them. You're not trying to start any war. You're not really trying to start any kind of beef with them. That's the thing. But there's some people that just get very hard-headed and stupid for whatever the reason, and then bad things happen and people fight and they get killed. And one such person is this, which is Albert Hernandez, aka Hitler. And he was the leader of the maniac Latin disciples. Back then it was called the Latin disciples. Maniac didn't happen until later on, when Pete the Burner Correa pretty much was responsible for it. The one thing that they all had in common was this. All of them were old school. And what I want to tell you right now is just that it's very sad how certain people, whether they were punks, hardcore punks, or laid back troublemakers, or whatever the case may be, it's sad for senseless violence to happen and for people to die and over stupid shit. It's very, very stupid fucking shit. So regardless of what type of reputation that Richard Medina had, and also he had another brother, the one that was responsible for the Milwaukee chapter, William Medina. People called him Willie. I believe, if I remember correctly, he was the one that also died. He committed suicide, I believe. He hung himself because he spent a lot of time in prison. And from what I heard, forgive me, I'm not trying to. This is just what I heard. I don't know if this is actually correct. That some incident happened and he thought he was going to be arrested and go back to prison. He got so phobic that he said, fuck it, I'm not going to go back to prison, fuck that. And he hung himself. So I don't know if that's true. I honestly don't know. So again, I'm not trying to talk shit. That's what I heard from one source. And the person who was responsible for breaking up a fight between William Medina and that one kid that he slammed up against the glass window over on Mitchell Street. For those of you who are familiar with Mitchell Street, you know, Goldman's, Woolworth, at that time, and you know, that area in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. She was the one that grabbed him and, you know, like put her forearm against his throat. It's just, how do you like it, motherfucker? You think you're badass? You know that kind of thing. Just because she blew her top, because Willie Medina was just going after this one kid who was just passing by, and he made the mistake of making eye contact with him, and you know that kind of thing when you walk by and then you look at him like, what the fuck you looking at, motherfucker? Huh? The fuck are you looking at? And then scaring him and then grabbing him and then, you know, trying to beat him up and things like that. I mean, either he was crazy, I don't know what his problem was. But these guys were really bad. But regardless of who they were as a person, you should always respect the dead. Don't say good riddance to that motherfucker, he was a punk, whatever. No. I mean, it was probably not their fault that they got into stupid shit to begin with. They just had serious issues, that's all. So, April 14th, 1979 was the death of Richard Medina, King Cobra. And he was known as, just like many of them, like I mentioned before, he was old school. So I'm just showing respect, even though, like I said, I apologize. I should have done this before. Weeks ago, I was just doing videos about something else. I just didn't think about it. So, my condolences to the family, to all these people. And also, before I forget, Carlos Hernandez, I forgot exactly what year and what exact date, but he was another guy who had a bad reputation. He's the one that tried to pick a fight with my older brother. And he got killed, and supposedly he was turning legit. So I don't know if that's true, whatever the case may be. But then let's just see that was true. I'm pretty sure he made a lot of enemies. Because once you're considered like to be this weird, you know, this badass, and you did a lot of bad things to people as a gangbanger for so many years, and then you get out of it, you don't want nothing to do with it anymore because you finally had an epiphany. It doesn't necessarily mean there's not going to be people that will retaliate against you for the bad things that you did. There could be a relative of somebody that he beat up or killed, and then they're going to come back at you and kill you. I mean, shit happens, you know. Whether that's the case or I don't think that was the case with him. I don't know. But it had something to do with drugs, I think, or whatever. So, with all respects to all these people, and also mainly for Richard Medina, the leader of the Spanish Cobras, who died in 1979. All respects to you. Peace and love to all of you, and take care.